August 2nd, 216 BCE, a blistering summer afternoon near the town of Cannae, southern Italy. Within a space of just a few square kilometers, 80,000, Roman soldiers are packed so tightly together they cannot even draw their swords. Surrounding them is a wall of Iberian and Numidian veterans, methodically hacking their way inward. For the next 6 hours, Romans are slaughtered at a rate of roughly 100 men per minute. By sunset, 70,000 Romans lie dead. It is the single bloodiest day of combat in human history. Worse than the Somme, worse than Waterloo, worse than Gettysburg. 1 out of every 5 adult Roman men has been erased from existence in an afternoon. Any other ancient civilization would have surrendered. Their king would have crawled to the feet of the conqueror, Hannibal Barca, begging for terms. But Rome didn't even send an envoy. Instead, they banned the word peace, made it a capital crime to weep in public, and raised fresh legions from teenagers and freed slaves. Because Rome's greatest superpower wasn't tactical genius. It was a terrifying, near-psychotic ability to suffer infinite losses and simply keep fighting. To understand how Rome became an unstoppable machine, we first have to watch it break. For decades, Rome and Carthage had been locking horns for control of the Mediterranean. But in the Second Punic War, Carthage unleashed a weapon Rome was entirely unprepared for, a tactical mastermind named Hannibal Barca. In 218 BCE at the Trebia River, Hannibal baits the Romans into crossing icy waters, freezes them, and massacres 30,000. A year later at Lake Trasimene, he executes the largest military ambush in history, trapping 15,000 Romans against the water. Think about the psychological toll. Within 24 months of Hannibal stepping onto the Italian peninsula, Rome loses well over 100,000 soldiers. For context, that is proportional to a modern superpower, losing its entire active military personnel. In less than 2 years, the markets panicked. The gods seemed to have abandoned them. Yet the Roman Senate's response was completely counterintuitive. They decided to change the very rules of engagement. Why didn't Rome collapse? Because while Hannibal's army was built around his individual genius, the Roman military was built like a corporate machine. It didn't need geniuses. It needed interchangeable parts. Look at the standard military structure of the era. The Greek Phalanx. It was a massive, terrifying wall of spears. If it marched straight ahead, it crushed everything. But if a single link broke, or if it tried to turn on rough terrain, the entire formation shattered. It was a brittle system. Now look at Rome's alternative, the Maniple system, nicknamed the checkerboard with teeth. The Roman legion was divided into small, flexible tactical units of 120 men. If the front line of young soldiers, the hastati, grew exhausted, they could smoothly retreat through the gaps, allowing the battle-hardened principes behind them to step up fresh into the fray. This meant the Roman army was modular. If you killed a Roman general, another took his place. If you destroyed a legion, the Roman political infrastructure simply minted another one. Hannibal's mercenaries fought for plunder, for their contracts, and for Hannibal himself. Romans fought because they were, legally and culturally hardwired, to be cogs in a total war engine. But even a modular machine needs time to rebuild its parts. Following the catastrophic losses in the war's opening years, Rome took a desperate political gamble. They suspended democracy and appointed a single man with absolute power, dictator Quintus Fabius Maximus. Fabius looked at the numbers and realized a brutal truth. No one can beat Hannibal in an open field. So, Fabius chose not to fight him. He pioneered what we now call Fabian Strategy. He shadowed Hannibal through the Italian highlands, avoiding pitched battles entirely. Instead, he launched tiny, unrelenting guerrilla strikes, intercepting food supplies, picking off stragglers, and slowly bleeding the Carthaginian army by 1,000 minor cuts. The Roman public loathed him for it. They called him Cunctator the Delayer. They accused him of cowardice. They demanded a glorious, traditional battlefield victory. The politicians got their wish, stripped Fabius of his command, and raised the largest army Rome had ever seen to crush Hannibal once and for all. That army marched directly into the valley of Cannae, and we already know how that ended. Cannae should have been the end, but it was actually the moment the Roman war machine achieved its final, terrifying form. Rome weaponized its entire societal fabric. They lowered the recruitment age to 17. They emptied the prisons. They bought thousands of slaves from their masters, armed them with weapons taken from temples, and told them, "Win your freedom on the battlefield." While Hannibal spent the next decade stranded in Italy, winning tactical skirmishes, but unable to strike a decisive blow, Rome did something insane. They didn't just defend their home. They expanded the war. They sent fresh armies to Spain, to Sicily, and eventually, right to the gates of Carthage itself. They ran Hannibal out of supplies, ran his home country out of options, and systematically dismantled his empire while he was still standing on their soil. By 201 BCE, Carthage was broken. Rome had survived the ultimate test of survival. They had proven that their system could absorb any amount of violence, any scale of loss, and return twice as lethal. But this absolute victory unlocked an even more dangerous appetite. Flush with new wealth, infinite slaves, and a military machine that had tasted total war, Rome's eyes turned outward. But as the Republic pushed into the brutal, lawless frontiers of Spain, they were about to encounter a different kind of nightmare. Not a battlefield genius like Hannibal, but a grinding, 20-year guerrilla meat grinder that would push Roman military discipline past the point of sanity and force them to become the very monsters they were trying to defeat.